Hello, and welcome to Ad Age's custom webcast sponsored by Mountain. The topic of today's webcast is Building Buzz, how Bolt used CTV to create a major brand moment. I'm Christopher Hosford with the Ad Age team, and I'm your moderator today. We have just a few quick items to go over before we begin. We'll hear from today's presenters, and then we'll open the floor to your questions. So to participate in the Q&A portion of the webcast, all you have to do is type your question into the Ask a Question text area and then click the Send button. You may submit your questions at any time during the webcast to both or either one of our presenters today, and we'll address as many of them as time permits after our presenters' prepared remarks. Now let's get started. I'd like to introduce our presenters for today. Lexi, would you push the slide to slide number 2, please? I have
Sure.
Interconnectivity there. All right. First up is Lexi Tierney, our Senior Director of Customer Success at Mountain. Lexi works to support, foster, and grow Mountain's existing client portfolio while focusing on client retention and revenue growth. She's a digital marketing leader with a passion for building relationships and developing innovative solutions for both clients and internal teams. And we also have Meg Ciarallo, Vice President of Brand and Consumer Marketing at Bolt, a fintech company on a mission to democratize commerce with one-click checkout. Meg is a 15-year marketing veteran with a history of building and rebuilding brands like SoFi, StubHub, Visa, and Levi. Lexi, you're up first, so take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. All right. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here today. Thank you all for taking the time to join. I know we're all a little tired probably from a lot of Zoom meetings, but we'll try to keep it engaging for you. So, why we're here, what the topic of today's conversation is really about. No surprise here, but the demand for CTV is really surging. And so keeping up with that and being able to develop high performing, high quality creative that you can deploy quickly can be challenging. But we're finding ways to make that happen. And so I'm in particular excited to hear Meg share her story about this very topic today as well. So a little bit more specifically what we'll be touching on, really just speaking to the growth of CTV and how in particular now we're really moving towards predominantly ad-supported programming in a lot of cases, why CTV is positioned to spike conversions and conversations and really create some of these impactful moments, what advertisers are doing to handle this increased demand for high quality video creative, and how there are, again, solutions that we can deploy to help that. And then specifically, again, hearing from Meg at Bolt around how we were all able to partner together with maximum effort as well to make a really powerful ad campaign. So that's what we've got on the docket for today. So first up, just a little bit about CTV viewership right now. And again, for many of you, this is not new information, but I feel like each year we keep thinking we're getting close to a peak, and then the next year we surpass it. So truly, CTV viewership is really at an all-time high. You can see some of the stats here. Well over 200 million viewers watching every single month. Now, certainly the vast majority of U.S. households have at least one internet-connected TV, and I actually would imagine this number's a little bit low compared to my own viewing habits. Gotta love a good binge session, but about 80 minutes on average for a US viewer to be watching CTV on a daily basis. So a lot of time and attention spent there. And as you're continuing to see, more and more of these platforms are getting ad friendly. I think we're seeing new announcements almost every month to speak to the move either completely to an ad-supported model or maybe a hybrid of subscription and ad-supported. You've seen Netflix being that big one, right, that held out for so long, but recognize that it really is a must do for them at this point. And we're seeing more and more of these platforms and these networks moving in that direction. Disney as well, due probably second half of this year. Netflix, I know the timing of that is a little bit TBD, but certainly by 2023, maybe even before that. So the space in the market is getting that much ad friendly. And it's doing so out of necessity. CTV is really set up perfectly for ads. Most of these platforms that do have some element of ad tier coupled with their subscription are outperforming these other platforms. Netflix, again, being a private example there. Everyone wants to save some money where they can. There is a lot of subscription fatigue. So most users are very happy to opt into some sort of opportunity to see an ad if it means that their subscription costs are going to be lower. Over 73% of consumers polled say that they actually prefer ad-supported CTV viewing. I think in particular, we're seeing that you can view things that are relevant to you. And we're not talking about those long commercial breaks like we might remember from cable. We're talking about a few ads. So not even enough time to get up and go do something else. That's part of why you also have some confidence as an advertiser that your ad's being seen. And I think most users are just really used to this being part of their motions when they're watching TV now. So again, it's really the direction that most of these platforms are moving into. I think the other thing that we can't forget is that video is always going to be one of the most effective vehicles for you to capture someone's attention, right? It's just a much easier and more impactful way for us to retain information. So you see when thinking about how brands can really reach users most effectively, 95% of a message is retained when it's watched versus only 10% when it's read. Takes me back to school. I think that's absolutely accurate, right? It's just something's triggered in our brains when we watch a video. It's a lot more likely to stick with us. So I think that's why we're seeing that TV ads aren't going anywhere. It's been a high performing channel for years, and CTV really makes it that much more impactful. So with all of these trends, not surprisingly, we're seeing ad spend really increase. And that's certainly been the case for Mountain over the past year in particular, but even prior to that, and really the industry as a whole. CTV is booming. It's continuing to be a really critical part of marketers' media mix. And to keep up with that, brands are looking at where they can shift budgets from. Naturally, we don't all have the opportunity to have unlimited budgets as a marketer, unfortunately, as fun as that would be. But you have to look then at how can I effectively decide where I'm going to move my budgets and what's going to perform best. And so what we're seeing actually a lot of is people moving from linear budgets over to CTV. A lot of reasons for that, right? Both the flexibility of CTV, you're not locked into these huge upfronts, but also the performance and the impact that you're having. So that's certainly one of the top areas that brands and agencies are pulling from. And then I think also we're seeing that a lot with social in particular, right? With Facebook, that iOS change really did hit them hard. Weakened some ability to perform like they had for a lot of brands. And they're losing a lot of money because of it, a lot of money in ad revenue. They're still Facebook, right? They're still doing very well, but brands really do have to find other areas and other performance driving vehicles to move their marketing budgets to. And so CTV is definitely one of those areas that we're seeing that happen. And again, speaking more to the emotional side of television and the emotional side of video, it does create moments. And I think the example that Meg's going to share is absolutely a prime example of that. it does, spark conversation. And if you have a strong ad, it's something that you can remember. And it's a big part of why we see the performance that we do when you're actually tracking it against business KPIs, right? It drives visits to a website or to a store. It absolutely boosts conversions because you have something that is really resonating with an audience and something they're much more likely to pay attention to and to share. So, as marketers, I think there's a reason we're all nerding out over CTV. It's all of the things that we've always loved about television ads, but coupled with all of the things that we love about digital. So it allows you to have that really high impact brand experience, but now you can actually tailor it to a performance outcome. You can do all the things, again, that's possible with digital. You can do real-time A/B testing. You can test different audiences with different messages. There's all sorts of opportunities to reach different types of users, whether it's net new, whether it's your existing site traffic that you reach through targeting, whether it's a CRM list. There's so many options. And specifically with Mountain, a big part of our success is from our dynamic optimization as well. You can have these learnings and these data inputs in real time that you don't have to rely on anybody manually pulling levers anymore. You can optimize literally in seconds and on an ongoing basis. So with that, you get to see what's working, and marketers get to make changes and optimize their mix. And creative is naturally another big part of that. So the challenge with that, unfortunately, is that you have all of these amazing capabilities and options, and suddenly you are being tasked with coming up with relevant, timely, high-impact TV ads that speak to all of these different user segments and that resonate with a user. And that's not easy. And brands really do need video more than they have before. They have access to TV through CTV in a way that maybe they hadn't before when it was just linear. And so this move and these trends really have caused a lot of brands to recognize, I need some high performing creative and I need to be able to get that in market quickly. But that's tough. Can be expensive. It can be really time consuming. A lot of people might need to be involved. And so that can stunt growth potentially. And I think for a lot of advertisers, then they're wondering, can I do this, right? Do I have the time? Do I have the money to do it? One of the things that I do love personally about working at Mountain is we've actually found a way to solve that. Because again, you do have this amazing opportunity with CTV to target and test, but if you don't have good creative, you're limiting the platform's potential. You're limiting your own brand's potential. And so we wanted to find a way to solve for those creative barriers and make it so that if you're thinking you can't do CTV, you're wrong. So now I'm going to pass it over to Meg, who's got a great story to share for Bolt and how they found a path to overcome those creative barriers and get on CTV. So Meg, I'm going to pass it to you.
Thanks so much. So I lead brand and consumer marketing at Bolt. And when I joined, we'd never done any TV before. And as Christopher said, Bolt is currently a B2B company, and we're building out our B2C offering, but we bring one-click checkout to any online retailer. And we were drawn to CTV and Mountain for a few different reasons. And definitely, as Lexi alluded to, the creative as a subscription with maximum effort was very, very exciting for us. It was a way for us to create high quality creative without having to invest significant dollars. And I've made many TV commercials in my career, and they always take a very long time, and they are very difficult to do the quality you want at a price that is affordable. The other reasons that we were drawn to Mountain specifically is the centralization of the platform, right? We didn't have to go to the linear networks or go directly to the different streaming networks. We're able to optimize across all of them through Mountain. And related to that, we had the flexibility through Mountain of not having to commit to a Fox or an NBC or a Hulu or things like that. Through the dynamic nature of the buying on Mountain, we're able to have a lot more flexibility and get the best performance for our different objectives. And related to that, because Mountain buys directly through all these different platforms, they have much more efficient and access to much more efficient CPMs than we would at Bolt if we went directly to the different networks and platforms. And as a brand that is just now building out our consumer offering, we are able to enter into the platform with much smaller budgets on the B2B and B2C side than we would if we were trying to go directly with some of the platforms. So all of those things were very, very exciting for us. So our first campaign, I can tell you a little bit about it. We're going to launch our second campaign in a few weeks. But we worked with Maximum Effort and Mountain. We were working together on building a strategy for the creative and for the media on how we could raise awareness for Bolt. And really the solution that we solve as a business for other e-commerce companies is this one-click checkout. 70% of online shopping carts are abandoned. And that is a huge amount of revenue left on the plate, left on the table by all these online retailers. And for us, we want to help them understand that while they're investing so much in all these other channels and Facebook and Google and CTV and things like that, if 70% of the people who are filling their cart are leaving them abandoned, that's a huge amount of lost opportunity for growth and efficiency. So our goals are to drive brand awareness for not only Bolt, but also checkout as a category and as a lever for marketers amongst consumers, as well as the B2B audiences. Our video featured Sarah McLachlan, and we used humor and nostalgia to parody her iconic ASPCA ad from the 90s. We're not going to be showing that ad today in this webinar, but if you want to check it out, you can just Google Sarah McLachlan and Bolt and enjoy about 30 seconds of pretty great humor, I think. How we did it. So as I mentioned before, we worked with Maximum Effort and Mountain's Creative as a subscription service. Creative as a subscription removed a huge barrier for entry to us. I joined Bolt and the marketing team is still pretty small. We're just building out our creative capabilities. And we didn't have an AOR or anything like that on hand for us to make these. So it was really a huge opportunity for us to jump in with Maximum Effort and Mountain. We got this high quality creative with first-rate talent by just committing to media with Mountain. And the only cost we had to pay was Sarah McLachlan's talent fee, which was a huge win for us. We received earned media for the business and the brand, which is not standard with any other creative agency. And the media coverage was really, really big. We were covered in Fast Company, in HuffPo, in Billboard, in Ad Age, in Entertainment Weekly, iHeartRadio, Adweek, Media Post, right? It was a lot of coverage for a brand like ours that is virtually unknown. So that was very exciting. One of the other things that is really important to call out that I think Maximum Effort has coined the term fast advertising. We greenlit the idea and had it live in market in less than 2 weeks. So that is also a huge thing that I've never experienced in my own career, even turning around spots as quickly as possible. It's usually like a month at the minimum. So this was a really, really great opportunity for us to move quickly when we needed to. So how did it go? I can break down the campaign for you. So because we were able to focus on our target audience and track completed views, this was a big branding moment for Bolt. And as I mentioned, we were targeting not only B2C, and we were really looking at a Gen Pop audience, but then on the B2B side, we were able to target both mid-market and enterprise merchants in our target demo. In Q1 alone, the campaign drove 150 million impressions. We had a huge lift in site traffic as well from January to February when it went live. We had an over 96% completion rate of our videos. We had a higher conversion rate than all other paid channels that we've ever run on, except for direct and organic, which of course always has the highest intent. And as I mentioned before, the extensive media coverage across B2B and B2C audiences. So what's next for Bolt? We are very excited to continue to dig in and do a lot more with Mountain and Maximum Effort. As I mentioned before, we are continuing to leverage our relationship to build ads that really break through and tell our story. We've created our next campaign that, as I mentioned, is deploying in a few weeks. We have creative both for B2B and B2C audiences, and we have different variations for both of those audiences so that we can start doing a more robust creative testing strategy as well as audience targeting strategy. So as I mentioned, we'll be leveraging creative testing, audience testing. We're also going to be loading in our CRM database to do audience testing on the B2B and B2C side, which we're really excited about doing more there to build up our touch points with different audiences. And then we're going to be expanding our remarketing campaigns as well, both through the CTV as well as the audience extension through programmatic display media that Mountain affords us as well. And Lexi, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Meg. Sorry, I was trying to come off mute. So I'll just touch on this quickly. I know there's a couple other things here, and then we want to jump into questions. Thing note, our focus really is on driving performance from connected TV. And we have several different solutions to help support that, both from the media side and the optimization side, as well as from a creative standpoint. So just for those who may not be as familiar, we have our performance TV platform that really allows you to dial in your strategy based on true tangible business outcomes and track that appropriately. So whatever your needs may be, if you're looking at new customer acquisition or you're looking at re-engagement and retargeting, trying to drive revenue, trying to drive business KPIs, that's how our platform was built to optimize for those things, again, in real time. So it's been a pretty impactful channel and vehicle for our customers. And then, earlier this year, we announced our acquisition of QuickFrame. And so we have QuickFrame by Mountain, which is really just a top tier creative solution, providing, video creation and analytics all in one. So that our customers really can scale their video output and keep up with the demand that we're seeing. So with performance TV, again, in particular, a few key things attributed to success there. So one, we're very passionate about our inventory. We want to make sure that it really is that premium, we call it living room quality experience. And as Meg touched on, how we and where we serve is automatically managed and optimized. So we're very much an audience first platform, but our inventory is curated, and it's truly that kind of exclusive top tier network. So we're again very passionate about that. But at the end of the day, our focus is always on driving the best performance we possibly can. So whether that's driving traffic, whether you're optimizing to a return on ad spend goal or a CPA goal, we're going to automatically be dialing in to, bid and different settings that'll drive that best output as much as possible. And then to kind of tie it all back to what really matters, we offer a lot of in-depth reporting, which you can completely customize in the platform to make sure that you're able to track this effectively in real time, and you're not left waiting for months or even longer to see the impact of these types of campaigns. You can log in at any point, any day, to see how things are performing for you and make sure that you're tweaking and changing your strategy as needed to drive that best performance that you can. Additionally, we are directly integrated with Google Analytics. To my knowledge, we're the only CTV platform doing that. Certainly the first, if things have changed since then, but you can really track your performance in the same way you do any other digital channel. So that gives that added layer of visibility into one of the largest analytics solutions out there. We do that through our proprietary attribution model called cross-device verified visits, which allows you to really understand at the household level is someone, seeing this ad and then ultimately visiting and taking action on the website, regardless of, the device they're on. And so you have that granularity into performance that, typically wasn't available for television. And then again, just touching on it here, you have the control. It's a completely self-serve platform. So being able to go in and make changes, launch new creatives, test new audiences, and see the impact of that in real time is what we're all about. So hopefully something that continues to be a really positive experience for our customers. So with that, a couple key takeaways. We're coming towards the end of the presentation here today, and I know there's some really good questions I'm seeing in the chat too. But take nothing else away, just noting, again, streaming services are becoming more and more ad friendly. Users expect customized ads that are tailored to them. It's just something they've gotten used to, and so CTV provides that opportunity, and it's obviously a growing vehicle for performance. So I think we're going to continue to see more and more streaming services shifting in this direction. There's naturally an increased focus on CTV. We're seeing those trends. We're seeing then a need for more video than ever before. And the ability to target, test, evaluate success is allowing us to get that much better and more creative with the creative that we build, which is a great thing to be a part of. And then shameless plug, Mountain does offer several solutions so that you can really take advantage of the power of CTV and maximize how you're telling your story to the world. So we're very happy to be a part of that and be part of this wave. So with that, I think we can jump into some direct questions. So Chris, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Sounds great, Lexi. Thanks very much. Well, yes, indeed, we're now ready to open the floor to your questions. Now, as a reminder to participate in our Q&A, just type your question into the Ask a Question text area and click the send button. We already have several great questions that have come in, and we could always use more. Lexi, one of our attendees asks, obviously you've made a great point about the necessity of video in its memorability and its impact. One of our attendees asks how he can determine if his company needs to increase video output. Now, I'm assuming that means in addition to all the other channels that they might already market in, but is there some optimum number of video to complement other channels, would you say?
Yeah, no, really good question. So yeah, to determine whether you need to increase your video output, I think there's a few cues you can really look at. First and foremost, it's letting the performance dictate that. If you're seeing across your marketing campaigns a decline in, site traffic or visit rates and conversion rates, that's probably an indication that your creative is starting to wane as far as its effectiveness. And I think the other key thing to look at, of course, is just, if you've been running something, the same ad for, more than a quarter, or you're finding that you have these different audiences you want to target, but you don't have different creative to show them, that's a really good indication and cue that you do need to increase your video output, right? If you're not able to really tell the stories that you want to, and that you should, to drive action from certain types of users, you need more creative. And again, with the impact video has, it's absolutely worth funding that because it is going to pay off for you. So those are just a couple of the things that I would look to is, first and foremost performance, and any trends there, but also just kind of keeping in mind, where you may be coming up on a point of ad fatigue if you're running the same message for more than a quarter or so.
Got it. Meg, really interesting presentation on your first campaign. Since this was your first CTV or TV ad, one of our attendees would like to know if there was any pushback from the C-suite, although so much positive has been written and conveyed about CTV lately. I'd be surprised if there was pushback. But did you have any trouble with the C-suite in trying something new for a fintech company?
Yeah, we did not have pushback from our executive team for a few different reasons. One, the main thing was that we were able to test into this channel at a very low budget. And we didn't have the upfront sunk cost of the creative development, and we were able to move much more quickly. So in general, the ability for us to get a very clear read on the performance of this channel and not have to occupy a ton of mind space, financial and human resources allowed us to move really, really quickly and have a very clear read on the performance of it.
Okay. Can you hear me? I just want to double check my audio. Can you hear me all right, Meg?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. Let's see. Moving on to questions. How did you come up? I'm going to direct this again to you, Meg, because it pertains to the ad. How did you come up with the concept? The opportunity to naturally talk about a collaboration here with Maximum Effort, of course, would be good to see as well.
One of the other huge benefits of working with Mountain and Maximum Effort is they don't operate with the constraints of a traditional creative agency. So you don't have to go through a big RFP process, and you don't have to labor for days, hours, weeks on end on a really extensive creative brief. We were able to sit down with our CMO, with our CEO, and the Maximum Effort team and just talk about our business, talk about what we wanted to achieve, talk about our competitive space. And they actually came back within, I think, a week and a half with a large number of really, really great ideas. And actually the second campaign that we have going live in a few weeks is one of the other ideas that they came back with at that time. So for us, it was a really collaborative process. We felt like they really not only understood our business, but our aspirations as a brand, which are very large.
Got it. Lexi, this next question is to you. One of our attendees notes that you compare yourself at the performance of Mountain to channels like search and social. How does performance compare to these tried and true digital channels, as our attendee asks? Tell us a little bit more about your abilities in that area.
Sure. Really great question. And honestly, again, search and social are some of the pillars of marketing. And that's really what we're working towards being at Mountain as well, as one of the pillars, so that you can have a really effective ad channel that you do measure in the same way you do search and social, which had been king for so many years, right? At least in the digital space. So I will say each brand's going to have different performance depending on the different strategies and tactics they're employing. I can't speak to, and it wouldn't be realistic to speak to every single brand's performance across those three channels. But I will say that we definitely, one, strive for, and two, see Mountain being in that tier a lot of the times, right? Because it is a very high performing channel, and it is optimized to drive that very intentionally. So, I think it's reasonable to expect, and when our customers are tracking that type of performance in GA, they often see it up there as one of the top either traffic sources or performance drivers for their brand. So we're very proud of that.
Meg, one of our attendees asks for a little bit more information about the production of the ad. Can you expound a little bit more on the process of actually creating it? Did Mountain do the majority of the work with Bolt, with Bolt's input, or how did the partnership function?
Sure. So as I mentioned, when we greenlit the light, when we greenlit the idea, I think it was less than 10 days from that point until we were live. So it was very, very, very fast. Maximum Effort actually is the partner who leads the creative, leads the production, video editing, all of the post-production, and Mountain is the media platform. And obviously they have they're interrelated. So with With Maximum Effort, after we selected the idea, they came back to us with more detailed scripts. And obviously, a big piece of it was securing the talent with Sarah McLachlan. And they were able to do that in very, very short time. After we greenlit the scripts, then they shared with us. It was really very standard, like working with any other video and production partner or creative agency. We greenlit the scripts, and then they came to us with storyboards, with set design inspiration, with costume inspiration, things like that. We approved all of that. Then they shot all of it within a day. And then we saw rough cuts, I think, 36 or 48 hours later, gave feedback on those, and then we were live shortly thereafter. So it was very, very, very fast, but we were able to make sure that everything was run through our legal and compliance team. And obviously everything doesn't have to be done that quickly, but the knowledge that you can move that fast is very empowering. But overall, we were really, really happy. And then we were able to also use these spots in our social channels and email, put it on our website, all different things like that to really make sure that not only was it a successful campaign for us on Mountain's platform, that we were able to build out a more robust 360 campaign across our other channels to extend the reach and the impact. And that's what we're doing with this next campaign too.
Got it. Lexi, you had mentioned a couple of times about quick frame. Meg just spoke of maximum effort. Feel free to jump in on this one as well, Meg. But Lexi, what's the difference between quick frame and maximum effort, and how do they play together in this context?
Sure. Very good question. And there's been a lot of movement at Mountain over the past year. So short answer is we're now kind of a trifecta, right? So we're all part of the same organization with Mountain. Now, to Meg's point, Mountain initially actual platform or the tech and the media behind it, whereas Maximum Effort and Quick Frame are those creative experts and do the creative production and strategy. But now we're all under one roof, so it's all Mountain. I would say, specifically Maximum Effort, obviously really brilliant in the creative space and delivering these very premium ads and stories, even at times irreverent. They're very funny. So they have a great style and point of view, I think. And then Quick Frame is a global network of amazing talent. And it's really, again, about democratizing video. So coupling those and rolling that into Mountain just made so much sense. And is how we're able to now offer this creative as a subscription model and allow brands like Bolt to get these really awesome ads that they can run on CTV and get those things in market very quickly. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, and on that point, maybe you could explain a little bit more about how creative as a subscription works. I'd love to hear you expand on that a bit.
I would love to. I talk about this a lot, so happy to. And Meg, obviously, if you have anything else to add, please jump in, because we so appreciate hearing your feedback on your experience with it too. I would say in a nutshell, as a subscription, we cast for it because otherwise that's a mouthful over and over again. Really allows brands to get custom-made, high-performing creative that's tailored and optimized for CTV. And instead of paying your typical creative production costs, creative and media are bundled together. So just by committing to media, you're getting new TV commercials on, a quarterly basis so that you can test and optimize and scale the channel really effectively. So that's it at its core. And we can, customize what we're offering to our customers at different budget levels so that they have, a package offering that really works for them and their needs and what they're trying to accomplish.
And one other thing to call out too that I think is really important, as a brand marketer at other companies I've worked at, sometimes you see what are considered like DR or performance marketing TV campaigns, and the brand can be really lost in the essence of what you're trying to communicate in an effort to drive performance. And what's, I think, really great about the coupling of Mountain and Maximum Effort is that we can tell really breakthrough stories and really build our brand while driving our business. And those two things don't have to be divorced. And I think that's a really important shift for marketers to have in their mind, that everything is an opportunity to build your brand, and it can still drive your business while you're doing that.
Got it. Meg, a couple of questions have come in on metrics. You alluded to it briefly in terms of impressions, and certainly cost savings as well. One of our attendees would like to know about what kind of, would like you to expand a bit on results and data that were measured in the campaign that actually made it a success. And there's a companion question to that as well, but what was it that actually made it stand out in your mind in terms of success?
Sure. So we had two objectives. The first was around brand awareness. So there we were looking at very efficient reach and frequency. So what the cost per view was, the CPM, and the overall impressions of the campaign. So that was on the upper funnel metrics. And we were very happy with those. Second, as Lexi mentioned before, is Mountain integrates with Google Analytics. So we were actually able to connect the viewership with activity on our site. And what's really important to me is I've been, advertising on CTV for quite some time, is making sure there's no duplication of counted traffic between different channels, so that so that Mountain doesn't take credit for traffic driven by Facebook and vice versa. I think that's really important as you're looking at your mix. So for us, that's how we were able to measure the impact of Mountain on our site traffic. And as I mentioned, not only did we have a huge lift in our traffic month over month from before the campaign started till when it went live, but we saw that traffic converted at a higher rate in terms of, actually, for us, the conversion metric was filling out a lead form, and that converted at a higher rate than any other paid channel that we've run in the past year.
Meg, one of our attendees would like a little bit more information and advice. You're in the fintech world. There are many other verticals that are dipping their toe in the CTV pond, so to speak. What advice do you have? And Lexi, feel free to jump in as well. What advice would you have for other brands interested in starting CTV advertising and their first steps?
I think, as I've said before, Mountain and Maximum Effort combined make it incredibly easy to enter into this channel and platform. At my last company that I worked at, that was a more direct fintech company that was a lender, we were able to, right when the IDFA changes rolled out, as Lexi mentioned earlier, our Facebook channel performance, which had been our highest performing channel and biggest spend to date, basically plummeted. And we were able to turn on CTV as a channel for us from $0 to our largest channel investment, I think, over a 3-month period. So that's the other really great thing about CTV, is you can test at a very small amount and you can scale very, very quickly. And that is a huge, I think it's very, very important for marketers to think about, because there's lots of channels that will perform well, but are really hard to scale. I think depending on the category you're in, right? Paid search is, you only have so much room to grow there depending on the keyword volume. So what I would say for any marketers who are looking to get into this, really be super clear with your other marketing leaders, your analytics partners and things like that on what success looks like. Be very clear on the minimum test budget you need to get statistically significant read on that. And a partner like Maximum Effort and Mountain together are great because, again, the time investment and sunk costs for developing creative is no longer a barrier when you do something like creative as a subscription.
Got it. Lexi, you referred earlier to aging a video, that is to say, not being swapped out often enough. How often should video creative be swapped out or refreshed, would you say? You mentioned, I think, 6 months earlier, but that sounds like stretching it a bit.
Yeah, no, I would say ideally you don't want to go more than a quarter, truly. And if you can do it sooner, all the better, because again, messages do just get stale very quickly. And so to avoid that ad fatigue and to, again, make sure you are really continuing to optimize and reach audiences effectively, you want to make sure you're doing that as frequently as possible. Because I don't know about you, there are plenty of commercials I've seen over the years where it's still going, a year later. And I think you see both from the performance of that when you're measuring that direct response, but then also just the experience. It's no longer effective. And brands are competing for attention, all the time. And so making sure it's definitely not more than a quarter is super, super important.
Right.
And that's so funny too, Lexi, thinking about the ad we did with Sarah McLachlan, right, was parodying the ASPCA ad that she did that ran for God knows how long. And my personal experience too is that I've had ads, at other companies that have run and been high performers for, over a year, but it's always good to continue to create new creative and test, because you don't know what can beat the top performer, right? And and it's never safe to rest on your laurels, because you can always beat yourself.
Yeah, such a good point.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thank you, Lexi and Meg, for a great presentation. We've reached the end of our time. I want to thank everybody for attending this custom webcast sponsored by Mountain. Several attendees asked about being able to view and listen to the presentation again. Yes, indeed. Just keep your eyes peeled on your email inbox. You'll receive an email. As soon as the archive is ready, you can download it, listen to it again, certainly share with your colleagues as well. So on behalf of our guests today, Lexi Tierney from Mountain and Meg Ciarallo from Bolt, thanks so much for your time. Have a great and prosperous day.